Hello everybody and welcome to Wesley's Plant World with me, Wesley Peterson. And I've tried to film this video now a couple of times, but the audio keeps going completely wrong. This is my third attempt. So what you're seeing right now is me where I've potted up my Scindapsus pictus Exotica in semi-hydroponics in a hydroculture system, which means the plant's supported by a non-organic substrate, and here I'm using leckables. And you can see the roots have grown out fine, the plant looks good, and I'm very pleased with the whole system. But later in this video, I will explain a lot more about the whole process. I just want to show you what I did with that plant before I get into the next part of my video, which will start very soon. And here you can see this plant now, a week later, that's been in the nutrient mix. You can see the roots are growing out fine, and the plant is still looking absolutely wonderful. And you can see that there is a line where the nutrient mix has been up to, so 1/3 of the whole container, and you can see white roots that are already growing down into the nutrient mix level of the leckables. So this plant has adapted and it's doing really well. So I'm expecting my other plants will do the same, and I can't wait for that because this is such an exciting and fun process to share with you all. So look at this, lots of lovely roots and a very nice plant. Look at the silver shine on that leaf there. Gorgeous. I also want to show you here, this is my Hoya pubicalyx Royal Hawaiian purple that I took cuttings from when I did my video where I staked up my plant from a ring to a metal frame. These are bits that broke off, and look at the roots, they've grown out fantastically, they're doing so well in leca, they're already reaching down into the nutrient mix level of the container, the roots are filling out in the leckables, and the plant is just very happy. So it has transferred to this semi-hydroponic system very easily. Even the leaves look absolutely wonderful, and new leaves are actually coming out. So this was a success. I also have more roots growing out on this one leaf that I had propagating from my Dracaena pethera friends, and they're doing very well. And I actually decided that I'm going to put this leaf back into the same pot with a mother plant that is also now in semi-hydroponics. And here you can see a container full of my Epipremnum aureum enjoy, and the roots have just grown out very long and are so ready for semi-hydroponics now. So I need to get on and get these potted up in this video, and that is where I will explain everything that I'm doing as I go along. But look at the leaves on this plant, they still look great. Here you can see the roots on my Epipremnum aureum marble queen. They've also grown out a lot. So now these propagations have been in this hydroponic system for 3 weeks or so, and the leaves still look fine and the roots are fantastic. So this plant is all ready to be planted up in its leckables and start its semi-hydroponic life as well. So these are the containers that I'll be using to pot up my plants this time. They're a little bit thin, but they were the only things I had available in the local supermarket. So they are smoothie containers that I have basically gone out and got a soldering iron and put these holes along the sides and in the bottom to make it into a semi-hydroponic plant pot. And I'll be able to see the roots grow. So this is a fantastic system, and I did this just to show you that you can use any kind of container. It doesn't even have to be see-through, but see-through is fun because then you'll get to see the roots. But if you use this system, make sure that you have a cachet pot, because you don't want the roots being exposed to light, because then you'll get a lot of algae growing in amongst the roots. So you really don't want that. But this system like this is fantastic, and it's a very easy, simple way of making pots. So here's my container with leckables in it, and here I pot up my plants so that you can get to see the final result of this quite quickly. There we go. Look at the wonderful leaves, look at my wonderful plant in the container. It looks absolutely fabulous. And the roots are all the way down there, 2/3 of the way. There's space for the nutrients reservoir, and nearly all the space in the container is filled out with leckables. There are a few holes here and there, but that doesn't matter. The plant will work the rest of this out itself, as long as it's not completely submerged, so that it can get oxygen in the top part of the container and the nutrient mix lower down. Then everything should be okay, and the plant will grow out more roots the way it wishes to. So I'm really pleased with this, and I think this plant is going to carry on fine now because it has no organic material around the roots, because they're completely fresh new roots, as you can see down here. And this is a really good way of starting off semi-hydroponics, because you don't have to wash off all the roots to start with. And here I have my cachet pot and my plant inside now, and doesn't that look fantastic? So now this plant can grow out more and hang down over the edges of this pot. So what is the whole process that I use? Well, I have my container, as you can see here. I fill it up to the level I feel that I need to make space for the stems and the roots of the plant that I'm going to be putting in the pot. And that usually is around 2/3 of the way up. And level that out and make sure you just fill out all the spaces as much as possible. Then, when you feel like you have enough in the container, I needed a little bit more here, then you can start getting your plant. Oh, I found out that I had too much when I looked at the stems, so I take a little bit more out. Then you can get your plant and take it up and gather that and put it in the middle of the container. But first of all, you want to kind of split your cuttings so that you can arrange the roots how you want them to be. Here, I tried to put them in one go in the middle and think that that's going to work, but it doesn't really work out for me. So I end up taking them all out again and separating the roots so that I can fit them in around the top of the container. I also want to be able to see the roots as quickly as possible, because this is quite fun doing this. So when you use the leckables, just please remember that you wash them out thoroughly. Really, really rinse them with a hose outside, because they have a lot of dust and debris on them, and you don't want that clogging up around the roots of your plant and falling down into your nutrient mix. It won't look very nice, and it will also affect your balance in the nutrient mix. So make sure they're very, very clean, and then soak them for at least 24 hours or even longer, so that all the leckables have taken up all your nutrient mix and they are nice and moist to be able to place around your plant. So here you can see I've made a nice display of these plants to spread them around in all different directions so that they're going to look nice when I've finished, and then put them in there together. So when you're happy with where all your cuttings are in the leckables, then you can start filling up more leckables around the edge of all the stems and roots. And this can be a little bit fiddly, and it can take a little bit of time, because you need to make sure that you get the leckables everywhere as much as possible. So you're probably going to have to take a small handful, or even just one or two at a time, and place them around. And the ones that I have different sizes, so I can choose smaller ones to try and get into spaces where there's smaller spaces, and some of the larger ones around the bottom and around the top, or other areas where there's space for them, basically. So take your time, put everything around, and put the leckables in so that they are supporting your stems and petioles and holding them up away from the edge, so that the whole plant feels secure in the middle of the pot. So as I say, this takes a little bit of time, but it's well worth it, because then you'll know that your plant is anchored in and secure. So all of this is so much easier and cleaner to work with than soil. When I do this with soil, I get soil all over the place, on the floor, on the tray, all over me, everywhere, and I have to spend ages after I finish filming hoovering everything up and moving everything around to make sure everything's clean again. But this, your leckables are already so clean that if some of them roll away on the floor or whatever, then you just pick up those few and that's it. No dirt anywhere. It's so nice, it's so convenient, and a fantastic way of working with plants. So just to clear up the terminology a little bit more here, semi-hydroponics is also passive hydroponics because there are no machines used to circulate the water around to get a nutrient flow or any kind of thing in the nutrient mix that is creating bubbles to create oxygen around the roots of the plant. The plant is just standing still in its cachet pot, in its reservoir, and that's it. If you're talking about full hydroponics, hydroponics is when, you have the machines, there's a flow constantly going on around the roots, regulating the nutrients and the oxygen flow. But this system, semi-hydroponics, is also called hydroculture. And hydroculture is when you use a non-organic substrate around the plant roots and stem to support the plant. And that is what this situation is. So this is hydroculture. The leckables are supporting my plant, but you can also do this with other materials. You can put perlite in here, pumice, you can put rocks in there, anything that's going to support your plant, because it's the nutrient mix that is going to supply the plant with all the different nutrients it needs, as well as the plant getting the oxygen and everything else it needs around its roots to keep it happy and thriving. So this is a fantastic system, and many plants cope with it very well. They just need to have their roots thoroughly 100% cleaned off as much as possible. Now, roots that have been growing in soil are very difficult to get all the soil off. There will be bits of soil left on your roots. You will see brown patches that are actually stuck to the roots, and that's okay, as long as you get as much as possible off. And then when you've planted them up, you should check your plant around a week or 2 weeks later, because you'll find that a lot of the soil roots will slough off, and then they'll be left in amongst the leckables, and that will create rot, because then you have rotting organic material in your mixture, and you really don't want that. So you do need to check soil roots that are sloughing off and trying to grow out water roots. So a good way of doing this is to put your plants in a nutrient mix in hydroponics, so that the roots have a chance to slough off any roots they don't want that are soil roots, and to grow out their water roots. And the water roots, you'll notice, because they'll become these white roots that grow out of the other roots and get longer, and they're fresh and clean. And then you can see that your plant is adapting to a more aquatic style of living. Then you can go in and transplant those plants to semi-hydroponics much easier, but still check your roots if they're soil-based roots, which the plant I'm working with right now doesn't have. So here it is, my plant completely potted up, looks fabulous, and you can see the roots around the 1/3 layer of the top of the container, and the rest is leckables. And these roots won't take any time to adapt to this, because they are already, as I said, 100% water roots. So some of them will grow down lower into the container, into the nutrient mix, and some will stay up above the nutrient mix level. Now I have my container here again, and I'll put my plant in that and see how it looks. Doesn't that look fabulous? So now I just add the nutrient mix to my plants, and this is a nutrient mix I found in a store. You need to make sure that you measure out your nutrient mix to the amount of water you're using. So in my case, 10 litres of water needs 15 millilitres of nutrient mix, and then I also measure my pH to make sure the pH is between 5 and 6.5, which is what a lot of houseplants prefer. But that's all for now. Thank you for watching this video, and remember to like, subscribe and hit the bell. Bye!